If you're over 60 years old and lately you feel that words escape you, that you forget where you put your keys, or that you arrive at a room without remembering why you went there, you need to hear this, because what I'm about to reveal to you in the next few minutes could be the difference between maintaining a lucid mind or facing the cognitive decline that terrifies millions of older people. But before continuing, let me ask you a question that will probably make you uncomfortable. Have you noticed that your brain is no longer the same as before? Do you feel that frustration when you can't remember the name of someone you've known for years, or when you forget what you were going to say in the middle of a conversation? If your answer is yes, you're not alone. According to recent studies, more than 75% of people over 60 years old experience some type of memory loss, and the most terrifying thing is that most accept it as a normal part of aging. But here comes what doctors don't tell you: cognitive decline is not inevitable. In fact, there is overwhelming scientific evidence that with 3 simple changes in your daily routine, you can not only stop this process but completely reverse it. During my years of research in aging neuroscience, I've discovered that the medical industry has been focusing on symptoms instead of the real causes of mental deterioration. They prescribe expensive supplements, recommend crosswords and Sudoku, tell you to exercise, but never explain the real reasons why your brain is losing its ability to function optimally. And what's worse, they never reveal the 3 specific techniques that have been shown to restore brain function in people who had already begun to experience significant memory loss. But before revealing these 3 secrets that will change your life forever, I need you to understand something fundamental about your brain. For decades, science believed that neurons didn't regenerate, that once lost, they were gone forever. This mistaken belief led millions of people to accept cognitive decline as their inevitable fate. However, recent advances in neuroplasticity have demonstrated something revolutionary. Your brain has the ability to create new neural connections and even generate new neurons until the last day of your life. Do you realize what this means? It means that forgetfulness that worries you so much, that feeling that your mind is losing agility, that frustration when you can't find the right words, all of that can be reversed. But here comes the part that excites me and at the same time frustrates me. The solution is not in expensive pills or complicated treatments. It's in 3 habits so simple that when I reveal them to you, you'll probably think it's too easy to be true. Let me tell you the story of Maria Elena, a 68-year-old woman who came to my office completely desperate. She told me she had started forgetting complete conversations she had had the day before, that she got lost driving routes she had known by heart for 30 years, and that her children had begun to seriously worry about her mental state. Doctors had told her it was normal for her age, and had prescribed supplements that showed no results. Maria Elena was convinced she was developing early dementia. She had seen her mother go through the same process, and the terror of repeating that story consumed her day and night. But after implementing the 3 techniques I'm about to share with you, something extraordinary began to happen. In just 3 weeks, Maria Elena recovered her ability to remember complete conversations. In 2 months, she could memorize shopping lists without writing them down. And after 6 months, not only had she recovered her previous cognitive function, but her mind was sharper than when she was 50 years old. Now, before you think that Maria Elena was a special case or that she had some kind of genetic advantage, let me tell you that I've seen the same results in hundreds of people. Men and women of 60, 70, even 80 years old who have completely transformed their brain function by following exactly the same 3 techniques that I'm going to share with you right now. The first technique has to do with something you probably do every day but completely incorrectly. It's about breathing. Yes, you heard right, breathing. But not just any type of breathing, but a specific technique that increases blood flow to the brain by 300%. Most people breathe superficially, using only 30% of their lung capacity. This means your brain is constantly functioning in a state of semi-hypoxia, receiving barely a fraction of the oxygen it needs to operate optimally. But here comes the fascinating part. When you implement the brain breathing technique I'm going to teach you, you not only dramatically increase the oxygenation of your brain, but you also activate the production of a protein called BDNF, known as brain fertilizer. This protein is responsible for the growth of new neurons and the strengthening of synaptic connections. It's literally like giving vitamins directly to your brain. The technique is surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful. It's called 4-7-8 brain breathing, and it works like this. You inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. But here comes the secret that makes this technique 10 times more effective. During those 7 seconds of holding, you mentally visualize the oxygen traveling directly to your brain, illuminating each neuron like little stars lighting up. Perform this exercise 5 consecutive times, 3 times a day, and in just 1 week you'll begin to notice significant improvements in your mental clarity. But wait, because this is just the beginning. The second technique will surprise you even more because it involves something you've probably been avoiding without realizing it. It's about brain intermittent fasting. Now, before you get scared thinking you have to stop eating for days, let me explain exactly what it's about. It's not traditional fasting, but a technique specifically designed to activate a process called neuronal autophagy. Autophagy is your brain's natural cleaning system, responsible for eliminating damaged proteins and cellular waste that accumulate with age. Imagine your brain as a house that has been inhabited for 60 years or more. Over time, garbage accumulates, some furniture gets damaged, windows get dirty. Autophagy is like hiring a professional cleaning team that not only cleans everything but also repairs damage and replaces what's broken. But here's the problem. After age 40, this natural process begins to decrease dramatically. Brain intermittent fasting reactivates this cleaning system spectacularly. It consists of creating a 14-hour fasting window, from 8 p.m. until 10 a.m. the next day. During this period, your brain enters deep repair mode, eliminating protein plaques associated with cognitive decline and regenerating damaged cells. But here comes what makes this technique revolutionary. During the first 2 hours of the fasting period, that is, between 8 and 10 p.m., you perform a specific activity that amplifies the benefits of fasting by 400%. This activity is handwriting. Not writing on a computer or tablet, but manual writing with a pen on paper. For 30 minutes you write about your day, your thoughts, your plans for tomorrow, anything that comes to mind. But the key is in the physical process of handwriting, which activates multiple brain areas simultaneously: motor areas, language areas, memory areas, and visual processing areas. This multiple activation creates what neuroscientists call a neuroplastic storm, a state in which new neural connections are formed at an extraordinary speed. I've seen people who had been struggling with memory problems for years experience dramatic improvements in just 2 weeks of implementing this combination of brain intermittent fasting with handwriting. But before telling you the third technique, which is the most powerful of all, let me share with you another case that deeply impacted me. Carlos, a 72-year-old retired engineer, came to my office after being diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. His doctors had told him it was a matter of time before it progressed to dementia. Carlos told me he had started making mistakes managing his personal finances, something he had done perfectly for decades. He forgot to pay bills, repeated the same purchases, and had lost the ability to follow complex instructions. His family was seriously considering taking away his financial independence and seeking full-time help. Carlos felt like he was losing his identity, his autonomy, his dignity. When we implemented the 3 techniques I'm sharing with you, the changes were so dramatic that his own doctors thought there had been an error in the initial diagnosis. This brings me to the third technique, which is the most revolutionary of all because it directly attacks the root cause of cognitive decline: brain inflammation. Most people don't realize that their brains are constantly inflamed due to environmental, dietary, and lifestyle factors. This chronic low-grade inflammation is like having a slow fire burning your brain from the inside. The third technique is called brain circadian modulation, and it has to do with strategic light exposure. Your brain has an internal clock that regulates not only your sleep and wakefulness but also the production of neuroprotective hormones, the elimination of brain toxins, and neuronal regeneration. When this clock becomes misaligned, which happens naturally with age, the entire system becomes unbalanced. Here comes the fascinating part. You can reset this brain clock with a specific light exposure technique that takes less than 20 minutes a day. The technique consists of exposing yourself to direct sunlight for exactly 15 minutes between 6 and 8 a.m., without sunglasses, allowing light rays to reach your retinas directly. But the key is in what you do during those 15 minutes. It's not simply standing under the sun, but performing specific eye movements that stimulate the pineal gland and hypothalamus, the two brain structures responsible for regulating your biological clock. You move your eyes slowly from left to right for 30 seconds, then up and down for another 30 seconds, then in circles to the right for 30 seconds, and finally in circles to the left for 30 seconds. You repeat this cycle for the full 15 minutes. This combination of morning sunlight with specific eye movements triggers a cascade of neurobiological reactions that include increased melatonin production at night, which improves deep sleep quality when the most important brain cleaning occurs. It also stimulates serotonin production during the day, which improves mood and cognitive function, and activates brain vitamin D synthesis, which is crucial for neuroprotection. But here comes what makes these three techniques truly transformative when combined. They create a synergistic effect that is much more powerful than the sum of their individual parts. The 4-7-8 brain breathing increases oxygenation and activates BDNF. Brain intermittent fasting with handwriting stimulates autophagy and creates neuroplastic storms. Brain circadian modulation resets your biological clock and optimizes all brain repair processes. When these three techniques are implemented together, something extraordinary happens. Your brain enters what we call a state of optimal neuroplasticity. It's as if you had found the perfect combination of a safe that had been closed for years, and suddenly all the cognitive abilities you thought were lost forever become available again. But let me be completely honest with you. These techniques are not a magic solution that works overnight. They require consistency and commitment. You need to implement them daily for at least 21 days to start seeing significant changes. However, many people report subtle but noticeable improvements in just 1 week. The typical transformation I've observed follows a predictable pattern. During the first week, most people experience an improvement in sleep quality and a general feeling of greater mental clarity. During the second week, they begin to notice they can better remember recent conversations, and it's easier to find the words they're looking for. In the third week, the improvement in short-term memory becomes evident to their family and friends. But the real miracles happen after the first month. I've seen people regain the ability to learn new skills, memorize complete poems, remember names and faces they had forgotten for years. Some people have told me they feel as if they had traveled 10 years back in time, recovering mental agility they thought was lost forever. Now I want to tell you about Roberto, a case that deeply marked me. Roberto was 74 years old when I met him, and he had been a math teacher all his life. He told me that the most devastating thing about his cognitive decline wasn't forgetting where he had put his keys or a neighbor's name. What really destroyed him emotionally was that he had lost the ability to do simple mental calculations, something that had been his passion and identity for decades. Roberto told me he felt like a musician who had lost the ability to play his instrument, like a painter who had lost the ability to see colors. His self-esteem was completely destroyed because what he considered the essence of who he was no longer existed. When he implemented the 3 techniques I've shared with you, the transformation was so dramatic that he himself couldn't believe it. In 2 months, Roberto had not only recovered his ability to do complex mental calculations but could solve mathematical problems he hadn't attempted in years. More importantly, he had recovered his identity, his self-confidence, his passion for life. He told me he felt as if he had been resurrected, as if he had recovered not only his mind but his soul. This is the reality I want you to understand. Cognitive decline doesn't just affect your ability to remember or process information. It affects your identity, your self-esteem, your quality of life, your relationships. When you recover your optimal brain function, you don't just recover your memory, you recover your life. And here comes something I consider crucial for you to understand. The sooner you start implementing these techniques, the more dramatic the results will be. The brain has an incredible capacity for regeneration, but this capacity is greater when intervention begins early. If you're just starting to notice the first signs of cognitive decline, you have a golden window of opportunity to not only stop the process but completely reverse it. But even if you've been experiencing significant memory problems for years, it's not too late. I've worked with people who had been diagnosed with early dementia and who have experienced improvements their doctors considered impossible. The brain never completely loses its ability to heal and regenerate. Now, let me address something that's probably worrying you. Why hasn't your doctor told you about these techniques? The answer is simple but disturbing. The current medical system is designed to treat diseases, not to promote optimal health. Doctors are trained to prescribe medications and complex treatments, not to teach simple self-care techniques that people can implement on their own. Additionally, there's an obvious economic bias. A pill you have to take daily for years generates much more money than teaching you 3 free techniques you can do at home. I'm not saying there's a deliberate conspiracy, but there is a system that financially benefits from keeping you dependent rather than empowering you to take control of your own brain health. What deeply excites me is that these 3 techniques give you back power over your own mind. You don't depend on expensive medications, you don't need specialized equipment, you don't have to trust others to take care of you. You have the tools to keep your mind lucid and functioning optimally until the last day of your life. But I want to be completely transparent with you about something important. Implementing these changes requires discipline and commitment. We live in a culture of instant solutions, where we expect immediate results without effort. These techniques work, but they require you to commit to yourself consistently. The 4-7-8 brain breathing needs to be done 3 times a day, every day. Brain intermittent fasting with handwriting requires you to adjust your meal schedules and dedicate 30 minutes each night to handwriting. Brain circadian modulation means you have to get up early to expose yourself to morning sun, regardless of whether or how you feel. But here's the beauty of these techniques. Once you start experiencing the benefits, the motivation to continue arises naturally. When you feel your mind clearer, when you can remember complete conversations, when words flow easily, when your self-confidence returns, maintaining these habits stops being a sacrifice and becomes a daily celebration of your ability to control your own life. I want to leave you with a deep reflection. Your mind is the most precious gift you have. It's what makes you who you are, what allows you to connect with others, what gives you the ability to create, love, dream. When you care for your mind with the same dedication you care for your body, when you implement these techniques that science has shown work, you're not just protecting your future, you're honoring the extraordinary person you are. Don't let anyone convince you that cognitive decline is inevitable. Don't accept that forgetting is simply part of aging. You have the power to keep your mind bright, lucid, and functioning optimally. The tools are in your hands. The knowledge is there. The only thing missing is your decision to start today. Because here's the truth I want you to engrave in your memory. Every day that passes without implementing these techniques is a day lost in your cognitive recovery. But every day you practice them is a day gained toward a stronger, clearer, more capable mind. The choice is yours, and the time to start is now.